Call this meeting back to order at 6:45 PM. We begin with public input. Anybody here for the public? Seeing none, we move on to the student report. Piper Kerwin, class of 2024, will present.
Hello, everyone. For notable academic matters, the end of the first quarter is approaching, so grades are going to close pretty soon. The first round of college application deadlines are due November 1st. For notable fine arts matters, the marching band competition season has just started. Their last competition was 2 weeks ago, where they got 4 stars. And then the Maskers Annual Haunted Playground was last Saturday, October 21st, and that also went very well. For notable athletic matters, the football game is this Friday. It's a home game, and the theme is whiteout. Boys and girls indoor track starts November 1st. The last boys soccer game is this Saturday at Andover. The last girls soccer game is this Thursday at Malden Catholic. The last field hockey game was today. And then the last volleyball game is this Wednesday in the gym. The cross-country season is wrapping up and coming to an end. And then the Winter Sports Family ID sign-up was released just a couple of weeks ago. For other notable matters, Stuco is hosting a food drive, and all benefits go to the food pantry. And Stuco is also hosting a polar plunge, which all benefits go towards the Special Olympics and Unified Sports. And for my student work report, I am taking AP 2D Art and Design this year. So I wanted to show you guys my virtual art portfolio of all of my inquiry art pieces. So basically the point of the class is at the end of the year we submit a portfolio which has 5 selected works and then a sustained investigation. So we pick a question and then we make a bunch of art kind of exploring that part of it. I haven't picked my sustained investigation yet, but I think I'm going to do something about like weather affecting landscape and painting like what it looks like to be in a blizzard and things like that. But as far as some of my inquiry works go, I have a bunch of different paintings that I've done over the past years of nature and of things that are important to me. So.
Those are your paintings?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow. Wow.
Very good.
Cool. Okay, questions?
I have a question about
Yes.
the haunted playground.
Yeah.
How did it go moving it inside because of the weather?
Totally fine. It was a little bit of a quick turnaround, but we pulled through.
Was attendance as expected, or?
Yeah, we got a little less than we have in the years past, but I think it was just because it was kind of a rainy Saturday night, so, yeah.
I was there and I thought you guys did an excellent job. I mean, kudos for the pivoting on the 2 days notice. It was great, and I especially liked you sneaking the horse in after Dr. Taylor left, so. But no, it was great. It was great, and so, my only question is on the polar plunge.
Yeah, that
What's
was
that
actually
about?
my other question.
Is
Where are you plunging?
that the students doing polar plunge, or Mr. Freeman would probably volunteer to do it? So.
I absolutely would.
Yeah, I know you would.
Yeah, so I think it's a students and faculty thing, and it's basically just a big pool of ice water, and you jump in and then you jump out, and all of the benefits go to the Special Olympics. So.
When is it?
Where is the ice water, though? Where is it?
It's in like a big portable tank
Oh, really?
thing, and they
Oh,
bring it
that's
and they
all
wheel
good.
it down to the field. So.
When is
yeah.
it?
I don't know. I think it's sometime in late November.
All right, let me know.
School committee comes.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'll do it.
You can represent us.
I've done way worse things.
Yeah, excellent. Any other questions for Piper? Okay.
Thank you.
I see UCLA. Is that one of the applications?
Not for me, but
Okay.
it's interesting.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're gonna skip around, go to new business. We have an Eagle Scout project proposal, so come on up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Daly, committee members, staff, and guests. My name is Christopher Vitalia, and I am a Life Scout in Troop 750 and a senior at North Reading High School. I am here this evening to propose my Eagle Scout project to you. My proposal is for the installation of a buddy bench on the LG Batchelder School playground. For those of you who do not know what a buddy bench is placed on a playground so that kids who have nobody to play with or feel alone can sit. Once other children see a student sitting in this bench, they are taught to invite them to join in on what they are doing, so that they are not alone. A buddy bench is very important to school playgrounds as they encourage students to be more inviting with their activities, and it makes it easier to make new friends. Studies show buddy benches combat social anxiety, isolation, bullying, and teach empathy. They also promote healthy coping mechanisms and mental well-being. As you may and may not know, both the Hood and Little schools have buddy benches. However, there is not one on the Batchelder School playground. I feel that if there was one when I was there at the batch, it would have really helped me, so this project has personal meaning to me. I am planning on fundraising the estimated $1,375 required for purchasing and installing the bench through various means, so there will be no cost to the school or town. I plan on utilizing my fellow scouts and some adult volunteers to help me assemble and install the bench. I hope you see my Eagle Scout project as a value to the Batchelder School and community, and thank you for your consideration.
Very good. Nice presentation. Any questions? I think, well, my first question was on, like, how do you install it? Is it just like, do you dig a hole in the concrete like the other ones?
Our current plan is we're going to, once we put together the bench, we are going to go to a spot that we have already found for the playground and dig and fill a hole with concrete, and then we'll insert the bench into that and seal it in place.
Excellent. And then, since I'm not as familiar, I have some Eagle Scouts in my extended family, but can you talk a little bit about what it is to be an Eagle Scout, how you become an Eagle Scout?
So to be an Eagle Scout, you have to start all the way from the bottom, Scout rank. By earning merit badges, doing community service, and overall just being of value to the community, you slowly gain rank until you eventually reach that point before Eagle Scout, where you have to perform a project and really take that long extra step, and then you are an Eagle Scout.
Wonderful.
Very impressive.
That's great. Any other
Love it.
questions?
I love it. I've noticed the buddy bench at the other schools, and I wondered why there wasn't one at the batch. So I love the idea.
Yeah.
I could have used a buddy bench when I was at the batch, so I love the idea.
Do we have any pictures of the other ones? I mean,
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one in the
Yes,
packet.
there are pictures in the packet.
Yeah.
There you go.
So you've talked this through with Mr. Maloney at the Bachelor yet, or?
Yes, we have already talked to her about like where we can install it and just a bunch of overall stuff, and we've currently agreed to put it in, it's on the packet,
Yep.
a corner of the playground.
Yep, perfect.
When would the installation take place?
We currently still need to build the fundraising for the bench itself, so we're planning on like installing it and putting it down once it begins thawing after winter around like March, April.
And then one final question, what's your fundraising plan?
My fundraising plan is $1,375, so that'll just cover everything overall, the cement, the bench, any other supplies we need, etc.
And are you going door to door, are you gonna have an event, or?
We're planning on doing like fundraisers at like restaurants, like Fuddruckers, Dandelions, etc.
Okay, let us know so we can help.
All right, sure.
Great.
Yep.
So we have a presentation. We need a vote to approve. Anybody want to make the, go ahead.
Move to approve the fantastic Eagle Scout Buddy Benches project.
We have a motion.
Second?
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Great
you.
presentation. Good luck.
If I could just.
Yes, Dr. Daly.
Great job, great presentation. He's learning all the steps, the civic part of it too, right? So just, you talk to Mr. Maloney, which is great, but then it goes to Mr. Connolly. Mr. Connolly brings it to me. I bring it to the school committee. You come here. So putting together a great presentation, very well spoken. Very proud of you and look forward to seeing the results. So great work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Excellent job. We're going to jump around a little bit. We're going to go to overnight trip request. We have one for the Model UN. I see Mr. Patel, and I'm sorry I don't know the other one with you, but if you guys want to present to us and want to come up here, or you can do it from there, whatever works for you guys.
We'll need a microphone.
Oh, hang on, we got to give you.
The
That's not for the room. That's for
dozens
NORCAM.
of people watching on
Oodles of people.
tens, fives.
All right. Hi, I'm Aiden Patel. I'm president of the North Reading High School Model UN team.
I'm Kristen Galpin, I'm VP.
So we are here to ask for your permission to attend the 71st session of Harvard's Model UN competition. This is a competition that we have, as a club, attended for the over 20 years now, I believe. So here I have outlined some trip details. So it runs for 4 days overnight in the Boston Sheraton and Copley Marriott complex. Costs have already been talked through with our advisor as well as everyone who is interested on attending. There will be some school time missed. It will be last class on a Thursday afternoon, plus all classes on Friday. And the students have already been brought with the expectation that all work will be completed of the following periods according to the teachers' guidelines that they set. We have 2 chaperones that will be present. One will be Meza Reddington, who is the club advisor. He is the engineering teacher at the high school. The other chaperone is currently TBD. At this point in the year, last year we were also at this stage, still looking for a faculty advisor, preferably, but also a parent chaperone would work. So just to give you guys a little bit of overview, so we'll spend the 4 days debating with other students from hundreds of schools across the globe, learning diplomacy and decorum, having the opportunity to network with colleges as well, and taking in a real educationally enriching experience.
Great. Questions? I mean, this is personally one of my favorite trips every year. I say that every single year when we approve it. I think it's great to learn about government and compromise and trying to get things passed. And if you can remind us, what was the country we had last year, and do you have any idea what this year's going to be yet?
So not sure this year.
Yeah.
Last year we represented the Vatican City, so that was
Oh, wow.
definitely a very interesting experience for all of us.
Yeah.
This year, while we don't know our country, we have record attendance. So we have 20 participants that are on board to go, with 20 spots that have been delegated from Harvard if we are approved, as well as 2 special committees, which is new for this year as well. We haven't had more than 1 special committee since I've been here. And so those are very interesting too. They're somewhat non-governmental, and they take a more historical approach as well. So it goes back into history, with one example being the fall of the Aztecs. So just so we can share that, yeah.
I think my only other question would be for both of you. I mean, what does this do for your future? I mean, is this something you're interested in moving forward? Are you like political science majors in college? I mean, or is it just an interest?
Yeah, so overall, I think it gives a good experience to all of us. I mean, I'm not personally looking into going to political science,
Yeah.
but I am looking into STEM and more medical side. And over the past couple of years, I've been able to do different groups that actually deal with that. So I was on WHO, which is World Health Organization, my first year. And so it kind of teaches you about common issues in the world, and also you're able to make connections with people around the world, which kind of gives you a better view and understanding and appreciation for different cultures. So overall, it's just like a good experience for your future, and like how to communicate with different people, even if there's like a language barrier, different things like that.
Yeah, so I can also attest to that. I also plan on majoring in engineering in college. But the opportunities and experiences that I've gotten from this trip have been, exceeding what is required of just, a political background.
Yeah.
I'm also interested in potentially pursuing law at some point, so that's obviously lent itself. But in addition, I think my extracurriculars at North Reading High School have also been fueled by it.
Yeah.
In my first 2 years, I was in the social, humanitarian, and cultural organization. And that sort of gave me some sort of global background to the work I've been trying to do here through Social Activism Club and various other just personal ventures that I've taken up. So, yeah.
Great. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, you guys are well spoken. We appreciate you coming in. We'll vote to approve if there's no other questions.
I move to approve the UN trip for, what is it, for next year, yep.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Unanimous. Or actually, no, passes 4-0. Not unanimous, only 4 of us here, so. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
But
Yes,
Very
Daly.
good.
I keep forgetting you, sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to give a shout out to you. Great job, great presentation, great trip, I agree. I want to give a shout out too, on Friday, we applied for a grant to do it's a playbook to do scenarios with students. High school students are trained to work with middle school kids on DEIB sort of scenarios through the Celtics organization. I had to pull together interviews with students at the very last minute, and so during Power Block on Friday, I got some great interviews with Aiden, with Brian. We were able to pull that application together and get it in, so hopefully we get that. But I just want to give a thank you publicly for, I will try to pull together and give to you as well what they said, because it
Okay.
was really well said, so,
Yeah.
great job, thank you.
Absolutely, no, really appreciate the opportunity.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, guys.
Wonderful, thank you. Okay.
Sadly, the world keeps giving us things to talk about in these sessions.
Yes.
It can
This is
be
true.
very tricky.
Okay, we have 2 different travel proposals on here, and the first one on it is the trip to France. Is that the first one?
It is, the
Yes.
immersion trip, yeah.
The immersion travel. So who do we have for that?
All right, so we have Ms.
Online
Lennon
or
and Ms.
here?
Cahill who are online, yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna share the screen, I will put their presentation up there. So they're gonna be coming out of this speaker. All right. Felicia or Catherine, did one of you want to take the lead?
I can, I'm not seeing it though. Oh,
Coming up.
okay, here I am. Okay, I'm seeing it now. Yes, so I'm Miss Linehan, one of the French teachers, and we're looking to do, we've been doing the Quebec trip for a number of years, but we wanted to also give the kids an opportunity to go to France, so we put together this language immersion trip through ACIS, which is the company we also use for Quebec, and that Yamas has used for Spain as well, so we kind of have a relationship with them already. Yeah. So we like ACIS because of the immersion aspect where the kids get to go to a French high school and meet students and also interact with locals, as well as the centrally located hotels and allowing for me to actually create the itinerary specific to what I think the students would benefit from most. Can I scroll or do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so ACS is great for centrally located hotels, so we're like in Paris, not on the outskirts, you're actually in the city. Authentic food, you have a tour guide, a local tour guide with you the whole time, as well as like I said, I tailor this itinerary exactly to what I think the kids will enjoy the most and get the most out of, if you will. Go to the next one, I think is a short, is this the video?
So you want to play a video?
It's quite short, yeah, we
Yeah,
shortened it.
I don't have the video loaded. This is just a PDF, so I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I could try to load that in a minute if you want.
I think, I mean, if you want to, but it should be, it's just sort of like
Yeah, it's okay.
showing Paris and some students there.
It's just gonna make us more jealous is all it's gonna do.
So this is some of the highlights. So we actually start in Nice in southern France, and also go to Monaco, and then we take the TGV up to Paris and kind of a trip there. So you get to go to southern France, Monaco, as well as Paris. So yes, we're really excited. The students have been asking for this, and I think this itinerary is really great because it gives them a chance to meet local students, speak the language. If you want to add anything, Ms. Cahill.
Nope, she doesn't.
Okay.
No, I was just gonna
Sure.
Oh, sure. Is it on, is it show up there on the next one, I think?
There you go, yeah. It's on there.
Yeah, the company is, so that's the price, which is in and around, give or take a few $100s, most of the trips that they offer. This company is like a couple $100s higher usually because of the centrally located hotels. They're upgraded hotels, they're usually like, in Quebec, for instance, we stay at the Chateau Frontenac, which is like the best hotel, and the food, and the ability to tailor the itinerary exactly how we want it. The company is offering, students can apply for, some financial aid through the company, but they're also offering us $500 that we can either give to one student, give to 50 to two students, or, give $100. So they're like, so they're offering us $500 in sort of scholarship money. But we haven't, discussed that obviously yet. And we wanted to put the trip out now because it's not till February vacation of 2025. But if the parents sort of know about it now and there's a payment plan, which, if they start now paying, it's only like 200, I think something, I don't know the exact amount, dollars a month. So it gives them kind of longer time to pay it before we go, which is why I wanted to put it out there, even though it seems quite long from now.
Great. And then, what's the number of students that you anticipate?
I have,
Do you remember? I don't
no
know.
idea.
Okay.
We usually, for Quebec, it's gone from like 40 students one time to 25 another.
Okay.
Sort of,
Is there a cap on it, or anybody?
I'm sure there is some sort
Okay.
of cap, but we've never had that problem.
Okay.
But I'm not worried about it.
And it's open to students in the French program and at a certain level, or is it like anybody in high school? Is it seniors or
Yeah, I
juniors?
can clarify that?
Yeah.
So I want to thank Felicia and Catherine and Evan and Michael, who are here as well, and Anna, who's the director of World Languages, just for coordinating with Mr. LaPrette and myself, sort of the vision for these two trips. We have international travel, but really trying to define immersion and make immersion. The Quebec trip's gone on for many years, and it's great, but we've said we want to do some other things too, so to go to France, to Spain. The current school committee policy doesn't really allow it to be required as to be in the language or anything like that, but the idea here is to advertise through the program. The idea is that it's a French immersion trip, so it's a really, really great way to really learn the French language. Makes a lot of sense for the French students to do it. So that's sort of how we're looking at that. So the
Anybody in high
idea is that
school.
this is really intended as the immersion travel, whereas, they may even go to a Spanish-speaking country, but it's not the same experience. It's not the immersion language piece. Obviously, no matter where you go, you're gonna get some language experience, but the focus here is our world language experts leading these trips.
Yeah, the idea of immersion is that you go there and you're speaking the language there.
Mhm.
and Therefore, you need to be able to do that.
Yep. So it's highly recommended for people to be interested in immersing in the language, because that's gonna be the way the trip runs.
Okay. Any questions, anyone?
So I have a question, or at least a request or comment. I always concerned with these trips about making sure that families who want to participate, who can't or have a struggle to afford the full charge of, the full cost of these programs, that they're at least made aware of anything that the school can do that may be an opportunity for reducing that charge. And I don't know what that is, Dr. Daly, and, working with Mr. LaPrette, but, I know it doesn't fall under things like if you qualify for free and reduced lunch, you can get a discount on something like this, but,
Make sure it's accessible.
try to make sure it's accessible to folks who may struggle to afford the whole thing.
Yeah, I think there's fundraising, but it's nothing the school can do. This is not a school trip.
Right.
But it's something that the fundraising can certainly be a part of it, and I think that's something that I know Michael and Evan have talked about, and the groups can all feed off each other for ideas. Felicia and Catherine, I don't know if you had any specific ideas about fundraising to defer costs, or? So that's something we can always continue to talk about to provide
That's my
opportunities.
only request.
Because it's, like she did mention the scholarships that are available
Yep.
to help defer.
Yeah, and any fundraising that can augment that obviously would be a good thing, even if it was just reduced to everybody's cost.
Right.
And it's good that it's far away, so there's payment plans, so.
Is there a certain number of chaperones or required on the, like, is there a ratio?
Felicia, do you want to speak to that number?
Yeah, there's a ratio, it's either 6 or 8 paying students to 1 chaperone. So based on the number of students that sign up is the number of chaperones, and then when we get there, we have the local guide with us as well.
And are they parent chaperones, in addition to?
Good
And do they get to go to
ideas.
the Michelin star restaurants?
I think, have you had parent chaperones in the past, or is it always staff members, or?
We've taken parents on local field trips, as chaperones. Parents have asked me, about Quebec and stuff. I mean, I personally have no problem. I took parents, I ran a trip at another school years ago to Paris, and some parents came just as paying, people on the trip, and it was totally fine. It was more adults, which was great, but I mean, they have asked, but as so far we've only taken them on local field trips as chaperones.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the immersion travel to France.
Let's see, move to approve the international, travel club trip to Paris.
This is the
Yeah, the immersion.
Immersion travel.
Oh,
not international.
sorry.
Okay.
That's what I said.
We have a motion to approve the immersion travel
Second.
club trip. We have a
Oh,
second.
yeah,
All
there
those in
it is.
favor?
Sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye, opposed, unanimous, passes 4-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for all your work on
now
this.
we have the international travel
We almost got
proposal.
you
Sorry
guys
about
approved without a
I
presentation.
know,
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. The more travel, the better.
okay. I don't think we did any.
Feel free to give them suggestions for restaurants.
What?
Feel free to give them suggestions for
Oh,
restaurants.
I have a
So much
running list.
switching.
Yeah.
It's a PDF, is that okay?
Yep.
Peru, is this where we tried to go a couple of years ago?
Hi, good evening.
Great.
I'm Evan Dosi,
Great.
and this is Mike Votto. We've been leading trips here since 2015. We lost a couple years to COVID. Last year, or this past April, we were in Japan with 37 students. We're taking 43 students to Europe in April of this 24. And in 2025, we are hoping to go to Peru. So International Travel Club, which is what we have here, over the past few years, we've kind of developed these goals and sort of our aims to what we do, when we're overseas, and sort of how we choose destinations and what we're doing with the kids, after dinner time and time spent wherever we are. I know Mike wanted to speak a little bit more about that.
And yeah, every year we have students come back and talk to us about how they wrote their college letter, their college application letters, and just in terms of independence, they have such a great opportunity to get out and explore and just figure out what they're gonna do with their, free time or their lunch, and it's just awesome. And that perspective that they get just being on the other side of the world, where they just took an airplane for a couple hours and now they're here, and it's just very different, and it challenges them to get into really good conversations, and it's awesome. And I think our goals are kind of right in line with what we see, and just the confidence that they come back with is just awesome. And we keep in touch with some of our alumni, and it's great.
Yep. Here are some past trips here. So speaking of lunch, here's some kids eating some scorpions in China.
Wait, say that again?
Deep fried scorpions.
You can deep fry anything.
Yeah.
That's good.
You had me, you lost me.
Well, here they are making chocolate in the Amazon. That was a little bit better. This is last year in Japan. We found this big robot, made all the kids run away from it. This picture. And then a number of years ago, we were in Copenhagen. We found some kids playing soccer on this, concrete soccer field in the middle of the city, and we had half of the girls' varsity soccer team with us, and we destroyed them. That was fun. But I think the point of this, and we tell the kids this in our meetings, is that we, like, these are the things they remember, not, I was on the Great Wall of China, which is really cool, I saw this beautiful thing in Copenhagen, but the things these kids remember that we've talked to since then is like, remember the time you played soccer with those kids, or remember making that chocolate on the banana leaves, things like that. So the Peru trip that we're hoping to run in 25, it is 8 days. So we'll be in Lima for a little bit, then we go to Machu Picchu, which I'm very excited about. Some temples and the Mara salt ponds, and some train rides to meet with some locals. There's a ceramics workshop, so we got to see some local art, some markets, which we've had a lot of fun with the kids in the markets before, and some more time in Cusco, and then home on it's really the 9th day, because we fly overnight on that last day. And this is over April vacation. And the price, it is $3,700. That includes the insurance that the kids need to buy. They're responsible for their own lunches, and they all need to tip. We do fundraise for tips. We typically do like a Fuddruckers night. We do bake sales. We do have scholarships available for kids, both merit-based and also, hey guys, if you have a financial need, let us know. We can try to work something out with EF. I did the math. Since 2015, we've brought, I think now, over 300 students on trips, like I mentioned, to Japan this past April, and then we'll be in the Alps that's April 24, not 25. This coming April, and then Peru will be our 19th country with this club. And there are 35 spots available, and the students, they all sign an expectations form, and they must remain in good standing leading up to and right through the trip.
Have either of you been to Peru?
Mike has.
Yeah,
Nice.
I went a couple years ago. Awesome place.
I've been, it's wonderful.
I've never been to Cusco, and I think that would be.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
9th through 12th?
We typically bring 10 through 12. We brought some freshmen to Japan who are very interested in going. I think we do the same thing for this, kind of market to the 10th, 11th, 12th graders. And then it's hard to get the 9th graders because they're currently in 8th grade.
Yeah.
So if they come to the high school and some spots available next school year and they're super interested, we'd have to bring them.
Great. I don't have any questions. Any questions?
It's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, these are great experiences that people get offered, and I'm sure you guys enjoy it too. And
Yeah.
probably planning your next few
I know,
excursions.
I'm like counting to when my daughter's gonna be eligible.
Yeah.
Where are you gonna go next?
Okay, so if there's no other questions, I'll motion to approve the international travel trip.
I move that we vote to approve the international travel trip to Peru in April of 2025.
Second?
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0.
Great. Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
As always, guys.
Nice
Good night.
seeing you guys
Awesome.
Thank you.
again. Okay. All the fun stuff's gone now. Where do we want to go now? Why don't we do capital next, and then we'll go through superintendent and school committee stuff. Goals.
Sure. We'll just do this one?
Choose your own adventure.
Never liked those books.
Great, thank you. So, plan for this evening is I'm going to try to essentially touch upon, look back a little bit and just touch upon what was approved in fiscal '23 and '24 for large capital and what's still kind of pending, what we're still working on, but we did get some good amount accomplished this past summer. And then I'm going to focus the presentation, as I normally do, on large capital projects that are focused on next year, although we will look at obviously the 3 and 5 year revised capital plan as we move through the presentation, and then we'll talk a little bit about the CIPC timeline process for everyone's reminder, and then obviously leave time for discussion and questions.
And Mr. Connolly, do you want to just very quickly up top talk about the idea of capital, like where the money comes from and
Sure.
how we do that in town, and like, just because I don't think every town necessarily has that, and
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great point. So, we work with, obviously, all the departments within the town, the school department being one of them, and all other town departments submit their, what's referred to as large capital projects. And the definition of large capital is a unit cost or a project cost of greater than $25,000. And certainly if it's a piece of equipment, a useful life of 5 years or more. So it has to meet that criteria to qualify for a large capital submission. Everything else would be under the definition of small capital. It would need to be part of a operating budget by both either the school department or other town departments. So around this time of year, by the end of the month, this week actually, we have to submit our capital improvement planning projects for certainly next fiscal year, but we look at three years out for the capital planning committee, to what is known as the CIPC, which is again the Capital Improvement Planning Committee, which does consist of members of the Finance Committee, members of the Select Board, school committee representatives, which myself, I'm a representative, as well as the member of the school committee, which is Mr. Friedman. And there's a community representative as well. So it's about a 9-member board. And we are tasked with the annual responsibility of reviewing all of the capital requests that get submitted on an annual basis. And then we hear presentations from the departments, which generally occurs in January and February. This is sort of I'll kind of touch upon this process now. Sorry, this is sort of the timeline of their process. So we're looking at school committee approval in October. We would hear, the CIPC would hear presentations in November and December. That sometimes goes into January based on the timeline. And then they would review and rank proposals sort of February, March timeframe. And then the CIPC presents to the select board in April for approval. And then all those approved projects get submitted to the annual town meeting.
And it's funded from free cash, right? That we
There's a few different funding mechanisms. Free cash, raise and appropriate through free cash is one of them.
Yeah.
Certainly, there's borrowing and long-term debt projects as well,
Yep.
based on the nature of the project. So there's a few different areas of funding. Capital Stabilization Fund has been used, but those are the three mechanisms.
Just as someone who just participated last year, let me just say, the requests far exceed the amount of budget we have to work on.
Correct.
It's not even close.
Yes, we would annually see well over, I think we're up to well over $4.5–5 million of projects on an annual basis, and we're approving somewhere in the range of like $1.5–2 million a year. So we're able to fund about half of the projects that come forward.
And those are just the projects that each department is submitting for this year, and they have others still.
Correct.
They're
Correct.
on
So
their
then there's those
3- and
projects
5-year plan, right?
that get deferred and kind of get carried forward, which you'll see some of those on our committee that just fell short of approval last year, which I'll be representing and resubmitting again. But we have an extra layer of approval here at the school department where we actually present and receive approval from this committee first before we submit to the CIPC. Where I think in other town departments, I think in many cases, the CIPC is sort of the first board that's sort of seeing those. But then eventually everything goes to the select board.
I'll hold off on other questions and soapbox moments
Okay.
until later.
So, yeah, just really quickly, we did receive the Hood School appropriation for the Hood School boilers. Unfortunately, due to the escalation of labor and steel and everything that we've seen and supply shortfalls, that when we went to put this out to bid, even though it looked like we had some good numbers back a year ago today, given the late town meeting in June, the price had significantly changed. So we did receive an additional appropriation of $100,000 from $225 to $325 to complete this project. That was at the fall town meeting. So we sort of just ran out of that tight timeline to get this done before winter. So we didn't want to rush it through, so we're going to be completing this project in the spring of 2024. Even though the boilers and everything have been ordered and they're there, it's just the installation and the project will be completed in the spring. So a little disappointing that we weren't able to get this done this fall, which we wanted to. But it was difficult to move forward not knowing we had the additional $100,000, which would kind of happen a little bit later. The windows, again, we went through several iterations of the plan for the windows, but this project will also be completed in the spring of 2024.
Was this all the windows? I forget, because I don't,
No.
this is a portion of the windows.
This is just, yeah, there's a small portion of the windows, but yeah. We need,
Small portion.
well, we need a couple more appropriations to do the windows that we really would like to do. But this will take care of some
The
of
whole, the whole project was split into smaller pieces.
Correct, yep. The Wi-Fi project, I'm happy to report, was completed. So that the middle school, high school Wi-Fi access points, some switches and some cabling, everything, some additional access points that were added in areas that didn't have them. Everything was completed August, early September of 2023. This was not, even though this was a request from the capital committee that fell short of funding, we were able to receive an earmark grant through Representative Jones's office, as well as some additional gift money from the Bachelor of PTO, which helped fund the remainder. We were able to complete this project this summer at all 3 schools.
Okay, it wasn't
So-
feasible.
So that was a good thing that we was able to achieve. The reports that I've received from the principals, it's been very well received by staff. They love the fact that they're all operating in the same time frame from classroom to classroom. I know Mr. McKay, Dr. McKay at the Hood School has been really appreciative. He feels like it's really changed a lot at their school. So that, these are some pictures at the Bachelor School of the main booster panel, that sort of connects everything, and then the clock.
I mean, it makes sense when you've got schools scheduled to the minute.
Right.
Everyone needs to be on the same time.
A deceptively important piece of hardware.
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me. Just a reminder, we did order a special education van through an Earmark Straight grant last year. And there's many, many districts across the state, as well as even town departments that have ordered vehicles, even fire engines and so forth, that there's just a huge backlog. So this was ordered over a year ago. I think we received the state mark grant in September of last year, and we placed that order right away. We have not received this vehicle yet.
And is the vehicle retiring? Is this gonna replace, or is this additional?
So this was the intent of this is this would be an additional, because we were hoping to add in a 4th fleet and actually try to take over some out-of-district transportation. So we have not been able to do that because of this.
Do we have a driver already hired for this?
So we've tried, and that's the other thing. So I think we would have been, if we had gotten the normal schedule, we've tried to hire that driver, and we've had difficulty hiring. So there's sort of a shortage in drivers too. So this arguably could become a replacement by the time we get it, but,
We're not alone in this, by the way.
no, we're not. We're not.
This is like every town,
Yeah.
every municipality.
It's been difficult. Okay. So I talked about this. Here's the 3-year capital summary chart. So I'm going to walk through some of these projects in a moment from these categories: vehicles, technology, facilities. There's a couple of high-ticket items that we'll have to address. This is a little bit different than what you saw last year. There was some changes, or a different approach, or potential of a different approach to some areas. So I'm going to start with technology. So the main request that's kind of a carryover from last year, this project fell just shy of the funding. You may recall last year we were asking for $100,000, and we were hoping to do this over a 3-year phase-in of replacing the interactive display boards at the middle school and the high school, which, believe it or not, are already kind of 10 years old. Many of it were kind of certainly approaching 10 years or at 10 years now, definitely reaching the end of their useful life. So the idea was that we were going to start this last year, so we're a little behind. So now we'd like to kind of accelerate that request and have two years of $150,000 to get this done. Fiscal 25 and actually fiscal 26 would be ideal. So we would actually have these classrooms replaced by the end of or by the beginning of fiscal year '26. And it's about 100 rooms. The cost per room, again, ranges from $3,000 to $3,500, but we feel like a total investment of $300,000 would allow us to just about complete this project. And we've played with a few ideas. We want to just do $100,000 a year over the next 3 years. We feel like we want to have 150, which would essentially allow us to complete probably an entire school. That we would start with either the high school or the middle school. We felt like perhaps the high school because they're a year older, but we could certainly change that and look at that. But we would be able to address, essentially a school with the full 150 as opposed to doing 100,000 over 3 years. Would be the approach we would like to take. So that is the main technology request for next year. The computer replacement plan of 60,000, we've been able to kind of defer this and we've not had the need to have this as an annual capital allotment, which had been the case for many, many years, because we were able to leverage a lot of the COVID money that we received and the extra grants that we received. In some cases, we received some earmark grants year after year through Representative Brad Jones's office. So we've been able to do a lot of things with the additional money for several years now, going back to fiscal '21. We've not had a need to kind of do this annual request. That's, again, projected to be the case into next year, but then we do feel like if things stay status quo, we would need this additional supplemental allotment of capital funds of 60 grand to replace the two grades and continue on the cycle we've been. Because at that point, we would have used all the supply that we've had and the earmarked money and the grant money that we received. We added money to the operating budget a few years ago, so this request does not need to be sort of 120,000, which is sort of the total allotment that is needed. So would it be great to just have this all in the operating budget? I think yes, but because that's not a reality at the moment, this request exists, that would have to pick up in fiscal '26. Some future requests. So again, we want to continue in fiscal '26 with the second phase. Should phase one now be funded of the initial 150,000 to complete the interactive boards at the middle school and the high school? Again, just as a reminder, that would be the one-stop solution of, we would sort of do away with kind of the projector, the overhead projector, the desktop, the Mimeo board. We would go to kind of a one-shop solution of similar to what we did at the elementary schools, where teachers could just cast with their desktop and different things. And we would kind of replace 3 devices for 1 device. And then just a continuation of the staff computer replacement plan, as well as we do feel like we would need an allotment based on what were purchased 4 or 5 years ago with capital, with actually grant funds, some aging staff devices. So every 4 or 5 years, we feel like we might need an additional allotment, because it does not exist currently to that level in the operating budget to help replace some aging staff devices, which would all be kind of coming offline. They'd be 4 or 5 years old by fiscal '27 at that time. Moving on to, so this is just another snapshot of what I just talked about, technology. We have the instructional equipment, which is the highest priority, the ongoing devices for students and staff. And then we have we would have the wireless infrastructure upgrade at the elementary school. So that 2017-18, that was installed. So again, by fiscal year '28, those access points would be 10 years old, kind of end of life. So similarly to what we did this past summer at the middle school and the high school, it would now be back to refresh the elementary wireless infrastructure. Looking at vehicles, just a reminder of this vehicle is still out there. I talked about it already, but we would certainly envision, I think, ideally adding this to the fleet. I think as we now have waited some time for this, we could also consider that this would be a replacement to the 2011 vehicle, which is our spare, which is now getting old and has over 105,000 miles on it. It's definitely wearing down over the last couple of years. So if we were to do that and look at it that way, given the shortage of bus drivers, we could certainly then have the 2015 vehicle become the spare. And then we're kind of in that much more of a better shape. But I think originally, just to be fair, how that grant was sort of written was that we were hoping to add to our fleet to offset operating costs with out-of-district transportation. So we would want to, that would be, I think, goal one of that initiative.
Mr. Connolly, one quick question. So
Yeah.
when we have a grant approved, we only have that money for a period of time. Has that been allocated so that even if delivery takes longer, there's no chance that we're gonna lose
Yeah,
the money?
so what had to happen in this situation is I had to write to the state for approval for an extension of a year. We had to receive that. So this funding was supposed to expire on June 30, 2023. So I had to write to the state and Brad Jones's office and had to get a vote of approval to extend this to June 30, 2024, which we did get.
So
That's a
you
good
don't
question.
pay till delivery?
Correct. Yeah. So. The next vehicle, which is in line for next year, is the 2014 Ford F-450 utility rack truck. It's definitely wearing down. It's actually has needed a lot of repairs to the engine, and it has a lot of kind of idle engine time as well. It's used for plowing. It's certainly an important vehicle as part of this fleet. But we've had to put a lot of money to kind of keep this vehicle running, certainly as of late, as you can see. And this is certainly a priority at this point for replacement. It's actually recently failed inspection this fall because of different repair work that's needed, which we're working on and we would do, but it's certainly time to replace this vehicle. So and actually, I think that's an out-of-date slide. I think it got updated mileage. This vehicle has 90,000 miles on it now. So I should update that. But the capital plan, as of October, recent mileage count is 90,000. The most recent state contract MHQ quote is actually around a little over $91,000. So we kind of, with either inflation, and so we thought it was safe to request 95,000 for this request. Future vehicle needs would be, certainly this vehicle is a top priority. I think we're looking at the 2009 vehicle which is not used often. That's why it's an okay condition. It's not used as frequently as the 2014. It's sort of there and used for additional plowing. The grounds maintenance person, is mainly going around campus using other different vehicles, utility vehicles, using the toolcat and different things, but he does hop on this vehicle as needed. But it's kind of there as additional third vehicle for plowing, but it would need to be considered for replacement in the future as well, because that has been helpful to have that vehicle available.
Mr. Connolly, have we, for the vans and things like that, I think we have to purchase, have we ever considered leasing any of the trucks?
We haven't considered leasing. It's not been something the CIPC has kind of a model they've adopted, but it's not, we certainly could consider it.
For a general truck, I mean, like getting up to $95,000 for it, I wonder if we should consider leasing and then you can, because we don't put a lot of, I mean, the mileage I would suspect isn't actually huge mileage just because you're not driving anywhere. So
Right. It's all kind of in-town mileage for the most part.
We do get a good life out of them though after they.
Yeah.
It's worth exploring.
We have those extra
Yeah,
vehicles.
I just don't know what the price would be lease versus.
Well, 95 is for the rack truck, which is bigger, more than the.
That's a much more of a heavy duty.
Correct.
Yeah, we purchased
At least
a,
the ones you could lease anyways.
Yeah, that's.
we purchased a 2021 Ford F-350 in 2021 for $50,000. So lower, not as obviously large of a
I was
vehicle.
curious, I was talking to somebody this weekend, and it seems like the majority of people are leasing now more than owning, and so, I don't know if you ever consider that.
Yep, no, definitely, it's a good point. Now we get into the sort of the facilities, so this is what's changed a little bit from last year. The Hood School roof, so the Hood Elementary School roof, again, was contracted in 1999, there was debate whether that was like fully installed. It wasn't fully installed and completed till September of 2001. It is certainly, it does have issues currently that we're kind of been working with our roof contractor to maintain and address. We feel like it is certainly reaching its end of its useful life. We've seen more leaks and repairs and maintenance to protect the structure and integrity of the roof as of late. So we had always kind of in the past reported that we would sort of load up in fiscal 25 or 26 for a potential of an MSBA accelerated repair project. We were basing that off a 1999 sort of contracted date. The research we did this past summer, when we looked at the statement of interest and spoke to the MSBA, is that they would really consider more like a 2001 to be the age of the fully completion date, which in there, they've changed their requirements that it has to be greater than 25 years. Previously, it was 20 years. So they really said they wouldn't really consider our SOI until we've reached that greater than 25 years. So that would push this project out to maybe a fiscal 27 type project to be safe. So one idea is we could certainly, and we've had companies come and assess it. Recently, they've recommended doing a new infrared moisture scan, which the last time one was performed was 2017-18, which showed the scan had, I think it was around 4% of the roof had some areas of moisture that needed to be addressed. So we would do that again and see what that percentage looks like. And do we look at, and they were hesitant until that was done to really give us a concrete number. So this is one of the numbers that's really just sort of a ballpark number, to be honest. But do we look at something that's more of a restoration project in certain areas of the roof after further assessment and scanning is done to sort of extend the life of the roof, and then do we load up kind of in the future for a much larger replacement potential?
So this is like $1 million project, though, right?
Yeah, I would say, so I went back and pulled up all the records of the Little School roof,
Yeah.
and that was 6 years ago.
Right.
And that ended up being when we went through the accelerated repair, with the additional indirect costs and overhead costs of the project management and the architect and the engineering and everything that was a part of that, that total project cost ended up being close to $1.8 million, of which we spent, after the 46% reimbursement, about $970,000. So I think 6 years later with inflation, I think we're looking at like 2.5 million or
Easy.
more, yeah.
But to spend 400,000 to fix only the areas that are
Yeah, and maybe that would be less.
problematic now, and then there'll be other areas that are gonna be problematic, because this doesn't extend the entire roof another 10 years. This fixes certain areas, and there might be other
Yeah,
areas.
that, I would think so, yes. I mean, the roof contractors that have come out and reviewed it have said, you know, they wouldn't even consider doing a project to this on a roof that if the infrared scan shows more than like 15 or 20% of the integrity being compromised,
Sure.
they wouldn't even do something like this. But if we're still like less than 6%, 7%, 8%, then they feel like maybe if we wanted to buy some time, they could do something in a smaller scale. Could be a lot less than that. That's a ballpark. It wouldn't give me a number as much as I push them for it.
And, well, let's take it back one step first and make sure that if this gets pushed out a couple more years, I mean, is this just gonna be more leaks, more repairs? There's no safety issues in the roof or anything like that, I would hope?
There's no major safety issues. There's one problem area that we continue to work on and see issues with every time it rains that we're trying to address, I would say.
No issues.
Is the infrared scan, is that scheduled or planned, or
Yes.
when is that?
So that's gonna happen in the next few weeks. It just was a timing of when we need to get CIPC submittals in. So one idea these companies are so busy, we tried to do this earlier. We would attempt, if this is an idea we feel is worthy, we would certainly true up this number prior to our official submission, our official presentation to CIPC, which wouldn't be till like the middle of January, beginning of January, which we would have time to do that. But in talking to Mr. Campagna and thinking through it and pulling the records of the SOI and the little school roof and knowing what that scale of that would be, and then you'll see in a moment, we also have another large-scale project that we're trying to consider potentially in the next couple of years. Do we attempt to kind of buy us some time and push this forward and protect it?
So as I see it, there's a couple different options here. This option would be 400,000 fixes
Or something.
problematic
Or
portion.
something.
Or something,
Something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Problematic areas, and then that would be coupled with a full replacement in 10 years?
potentially, yeah, 5 to 10, more than greater than maybe at least
Would
5
it
years.
impact would it impact
The MSBA?
the SBA's,
No, I don't think so.
timeline? As long as it's over 25 years, regardless of repairs?
Correct.
They'll have to
Correct.
consider it? Okay.
And the alternative is to do lesser repairs, patch as we go for potentially 2 years and then be able to submit it in 27?
Right,
For full
for
replacement.
consideration, yeah, we don't know if they
But
would
dealing
accept
with
it, but,
leaks, you know,
But
like,
dealing-
a leak shows up, you gotta deal with it, right?
correct. So the hope is that the infrared scan would still be fairly reasonable.
Yeah. I mean, that's-
And then we would sort of look to see if is these areas a candidate for some restoration to extend the life. I'm hoping it's cheaper than that. We had a smaller number, and I just didn't want to, I'd rather go high and then come back low.
Does the infrared
Honestly.
scan show, I mean, because you're looking for moisture, well, you're looking for heat or cold penetration. Is there any indication as to whether there's additional risk of mold?
I believe it talks about that. I read through the report. It was pretty thorough in 2017, and it talks about that. Yeah,
Because obviously, to me,
Yeah, it's a key one.
yeah.
small leaks become big problems if suddenly.
Right. And we felt the report in 2017 was favorable, and that's why we, at the time, felt like we didn't need to address it, but it's, in that 6-year window, more issues have propped up.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that's worth noting is the MSBA projects were on hold for a year or two. So I suspect that they're getting backlogged. So I don't know that we can even assume that we're gonna get approved
Yeah,
right away, because there's probably a backlog of
Right.
Yeah. There was a-
issues.
It was a
And
1 year or 2 year?
it was a 1 year, I believe it
there's
was.
one year that was.
Full 1, yeah.
Still,
And the number of projects is probably gonna be reduced because projects are costing so much more.
Yeah,
Or potentially the reimbursement gets reduced and
I mean,
it's 2.5 and we're getting
I know.
a 30% reimbursement as opposed to,
And we don't necessarily, we don't need to do the MSBA process either. I know
I know.
it does add cost to it and layers of approval, but I get that the idea is that it's vetted by more professionals to get a better result. But,
I mean, what would a, I wonder what the cost of a full replacement right now would be versus spending, let's say it's 400,000, and then if we don't get approved for the
Yeah.
MSBA later on.
I know,
Because if we knew we weren't gonna get that approval, I think we'd all be saying, let's just
do it.
do
I know.
the full
Bond it
replacement
and-
today.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think
I know what you're
I think
saying.
we almost need to, in addition to the infrared scan, I would want to understand what the cost of the replacement is.
We can
today.
see if they can give us those options after that's performed and what they,
Just so the CIPC has both
yeah.
numbers in
So
front of
that
them.
would be the idea.
Yeah, just.
in January,
have a
yeah.
Discussion there, and so,
Okay. That's good, input. Okay. So that's the first item for facilities. Second item, so we do have proposals for this project. We are seeing the intrusion alarm system at the elementary schools with just, needing to be replaced. And we have the cost proposals to do this. Some of them are just going down for extensive periods of time, that when there is an issue, we're having a lot of difficulty troubleshooting them, and there's been times where they've been out for too long of a situation, or of a timeline. So we would like to move forward with what we would consider this like phase 2, because we initially had proposed electronic system upgrades, which included the wireless clocks, the intrusion alarm system, and then down the road, we felt the access control system, and look at upgrades to the video camera system, which we did do some work with a state grant 4 or 5 years ago. So just the entire system piece of it. We now have the clocks done. I think this is the next priority.
And this is all 3 elementary schools for 60,000?
This is all 3, yes.
See,
It's a smaller, the batch is greater, is a good chunk. The batch, quite honestly, is about 38,000 of that.
Is
It's
there,
a little smaller.
is there a dependency on doing Wi-Fi first to get this done?
No, there's not. No, it's a good question, but no.
I mean, this seems like the sort of project that we could potentially look for grants.
Yes,
or
and
support
that's
from.
correct.
Is that
There
why
are-
it's rated 5, because you were hoping to?
Yeah,
maybe
there are
get something
grants
else?
out there, and you just gotta pursue them, and there's potential of grants for this.
Or even
Absolutely.
support from representatives if we,
Yes,
they're always
yes.
looking for projects, and this seems like a safety issue that.
Yeah.
This would be a safety issue. I think it's in line with something that an earmark grant would support. There are also other grants, I'm being told, that are out there. We could certainly pursue it. Absolutely.
So when we're ranking project, that's the other thing to think about.
Yeah, this would be in the.
My comment was this should have been higher, but if it's,
It's just
They
so
don't get
hard,
to
we've
that,
got,
yeah.
it's hard to throw in a $60,000 project when you're trying to do,
for a while.
Yeah,
when you're trying to do big, larger
Right.
ticket items.
yeah.
It's like,
Sometimes the $60,000 one does fit in nicely.
Well, they fit in,
To
but
the
yeah.
pie with cash and
yeah.
free cash,
Yeah.
but.
The other mindset some people have when thinking about this is, oh, I could do 3 smaller projects instead of the bigger, or
Yeah,
like,
it's like,
yeah.
yeah. Hard to know.
Okay.
So the next piece, so we've been talking about the Hood and Little School modular units for many years. They've been part of the plans in different types of approaches. Since I've been here for 10 years, we talked about removing the Hood School mods and doing something in a smaller scale or doing without them. But I think we've now seen updated enrollment projections and numbers that we are going to need these modular units for years to come. The elementary enrollment is not decreasing, it's increasing with the demand for access to early childhood programs and the continued initiative to try to be universally free full-day kindergarten. We don't see any of these early childhood programs enrollment going down anytime soon. The 5-10-year enrollment projections certainly show an increase at the elementary level, and district-wide enrollment going up with larger class sizes coming in each year. We're also seeing the need for more specialized programming at all the elementary schools, which some of them are also being housed in these modular units currently. So we're not seeing, now, what we were seeing potentially 10 years ago, that we could take any of these units offline. We think the need for this space is here, and I think, and we're confident it's going to stay into the future. What we don't know, and what's challenging, and that's why I'm now kind of proposing a study over sort of a replacement plan, or I think last year in the plan, we had sort of like lease versus purchase, and those different options there. We feel like we want a professional engineering, architectural firm to come in. We've had one walk through the buildings, provide a cost estimate, which is shown reflected here of $36,000 to perform such a study, to really tell us, these are the options, this is what's feasible, this is what you have today, this is the condition of what you have, this is where you have, the main concern areas in terms of the condition of the units. And if you're gonna consider kind of an as-is replacement with more kind of temporary units, this is the process and what you're looking at, or if you're gonna include more of a permanent unit, permanent build, studies and topographical drawings, or whatever it would take in terms of soiling, testing, everything that would show that the site can handle such a permanent structure. I feel like until we have that from a professional firm, it's hard for us to make a decision of what we want to do here. So I do, as much as I don't want to spend money for a study, it's hard for me not knowing not being an expert in this area, certainly,
The town loves.
what to
studies.
recommend.
The town loves studies.
I know, what to recommend here. So this is why we're kind of taking a pause and saying, let's do this study and then see what the options are.
And by permanent, do you mean a more permanent setup for modulars or actually building something?
I think both.
Or you don't know?
Yeah, I don't know. I think both. I've heard
Volunteer,
both ideas have been
So the,
mentioned.
the proposal, so just to be clear, two about the scope of this. Is it only looking at adding to the hood? Because I know there's replacement at Little and Hood.
Yeah.
Is this study to study replacing options at both schools or only at the hood? Because I think we identified that's probably where it would go.
Yep.
And is it only modular, or is it also looking at a modular or a building project?
So I think we would want we've mentioned all options to them are on the table.
So they would look at the little school as a feasibility area and the hood
Correct.
school?
Yes.
And they look at modulars
Yeah.
and permanent structures?
Correct.
I think that's the right questions, yeah.
And the 2.6 million that is the following?
Yeah. So we've had companies come in and kind of give us, ballpark square footage estimates of what it would take to replace the structures and
With modulars?
the modulars and the modular units. And it's gone up significantly a year ago. I think a year ago it was like $250 a square foot.
Hold on, are you asking replace the modulars or replace with modulars or both?
The $2.6 million estimate he has for FY '26, I think that's replacement modular.
Correct.
Correct?
That's
Not a
status
full-
quo, what we
don't a
have.
number
Okay.
on- We don't have a number on a new
Correct.
building, and is that replacing modules at both the Little and
Both,
Hood?
both.
Okay, and do we know if there'd be a cost savings with a larger modular or at just one?
So you could be a little bit of savings if you just go a larger modular. This assumes we take the Little and the Hood, that number is like, based on the numbers that they're willing to give us currently, based on square footage, the Hood structure is about 4,200 square foot, the Little School is about 1,700. They looked at everything, they did an analysis, it was Triumph Modular Company. They said, our best estimate is $425 per square foot. And it includes removal and installation and data connection and as much as it included. And that essentially comes out to be that number, which is much greater than what it was a year ago, when I think it was 300 per square
Are
foot.
there any soft costs involved with that, with a modular replacement, or is it pretty much, they're gonna give you the quote and that's it? Soft costs, there's no project management or?
There would be we would need project management. I would need someone to help with bid specification
Yep.
and management, yes.
Okay.
So they would be.
So we're looking at, I'm trying to, my simple brain here. We'd need, within the next, call it decade, a roof, patches to a roof, expansion. At least for one school.
Yeah, either expansion or at least replacement of what we currently
Don't say
have.
it.
You know where I'm going.
Right.
Don't say it.
I know. But we need to address this issue because we've kind of put it off,
Actually,
and put it
the-
off.
the
And they're in good,
little
they're,
one hasn't
we're
been
getting through,
redone.
we're getting by. They're not, we do work to them every year, they pass inspection, but they're on borrowed time in a sense.
The hood school is actually the one that was renovated more recently than the little school was.
Yeah.
The whole building, yeah.
So I don't think it's cost efficient to get rid of the whole school.
Go to Fuddruckers Mall, do some more fundraising.
I go every night.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, no, some
For
big
the purpose
decisions,
of
certainly.
today, I think the feasibility
Yeah.
study, I think there's
Yeah.
so many different options, but the only thing the feasibility study will not talk about, and I think we need Dr. Daly to weigh in on, is the usage, because I
Right.
know we've talked broadly about programs and more of the early education being moved to the hood school, and I think
Well, and there's so many questions, like, what is the rate of growth on the early education side, you know? At some point, is there a mandate comes down that increases our need, you know, immediately? There's so many open questions.
Yeah, no, there is. And I think I know he's had to step out, but that's always been, I know his vision was that is an early childhood sort of center, in a sense, the best model to look at in the future.
Well, in the last, on the vehicles, I talked about leasing, and on this one, I'll go the opposite way and say, I think for the first 5 years I was on this committee, we talked about eliminating the modulars, and I said, why are we eliminating them? And last year, we talked a little bit more about the permanent structure, and again, to put something in that's gonna have to be replaced in 20 years again,
Mm-hmm.
I really think it's gonna be, I really think we have to look at a permanent structure and
Yeah.
see what the cost is, but that's what the
But
study.
this-
I would agree.
This is
Then
the
build a
next
new
step.
school around that. Then build a new school
Yeah.
around that.
Okay, so yeah, definitely some big decisions.
Well, I would just say that, I guess you guys, Mr. Connolly, you've been thinking about it. We've all kind of sort of taken a pass from thinking too hard about that, because we just finished up this project 10 years ago. And
Right.
everyone's like, oh, the schools are done, we don't have to worry about it. That obviously doesn't last forever. So as a committee, it's something we may want to focus on and with a subgroup of some kind, looking at those options long-term. But that can be a discussion for another day.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I'll look, as you can see on the slide and in the presentation, I focused my presentation on the 3 projects for fiscal '25 and fiscal '26, the modular units. Obviously, we want to continue with window replacements into the future. We've had proposals to continue to update the building management system at the Hood School, similar to what we did at Little a couple years ago. Athletic lighting continues to be out there as a need on the horizon as well. So the priority order, this is always difficult, but what I need to do this week is submit capital improvement, information to the CIPC, and they do ask to put fiscal '25 anyway in priority order. So this was my task at doing that. I'm open for discussion. And I know that number 4 is a very tentative number that we need to continue to look at. But conceptually, I would say the technology, the feasibility study, because we can't move forward unless we have that information. I think the utility rack truck, just knowing the condition that it's in, really needs to be a priority. Hood screw roof continues to be something that's kind of in flux. That's why I kind of ranked it a little bit lower. And we need more work to do there, but I was gonna submit it so it doesn't, so if we can always pull it back in January, you know what I mean, if we have more information, but if we don't submit it, then it's just easier if it's on the table. And then the reason why, similar to what I think the comments that were already made by many of the committee members tonight, is that I think we do have the potential to pursue some grant funding for this last item, even though I think it's a good safety measure to make sure that those intrusion alarm systems are working in good condition. So I guess feedback.
What would the timeline be like on looking for additional funding for the alarm system?
Yeah, we could jump on that. I know there was some information was sent to me by the our current alarm contracting company. It says, I know that, different towns have gone out and done this. It's just a matter of with everything going on, is just finding the time to kind of look at all the applications that are out there and submitting it. But I think we could certainly jump on that between now and prior to the CIPC presentation and see what that looks like.
Did the town ever hire its grant writer?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
like a
It was
perfect
approved,
opportunity
wasn't
for
it?
a
Yeah.
grant
It was
writing.
approved, if they were hired.
So, go ahead.
Let me ask this about the feasibility study on the modulars. Is there value in doing it now and not waiting 10 months?
Yeah, it's a good question. I wondered that. There could be some, I think it would be nice to have that. The earlier having that data, the better.
Not that we can snap our fingers and come up with it. But
Yeah, it's not a huge dollar of value. Was the proposal I received a couple weeks ago from the company that walked through.
Are we gonna,
Yeah.
could I ask a question along with that?
Yep.
Are we gonna rely on their evaluation for the pricing of it? And when I say that, what I mean is, price is gonna change
Yeah,
over any 1-year period. My guess is, we'll use it as the baseline such that we could give that to somebody else or have it
Correct.
reassessed.
correct,
if we need
yes.
to. Okay,
Yep.
okay.
So, first, Mr. Connolly, thank you for this. This is really helpful, and it's something that I actually enjoy doing at school committee, is just looking ahead. Before we look at I generally think the order is probably the correct one, but my question is about if there's anything that should be on here that's not, and I'll just throw a couple things out there. Number one, I wonder if we shouldn't ask for the 300 as opposed to the 150. We split it up into thirds last year, and it wasn't funded as thirds. And I wonder if, is it gonna be easier to do it in 2 parts, or would it be better to do it all at once? And so I wonder if, that's just sort of open question to the committee, I wonder if we do that, especially if we're gonna knock off a couple other ones, and if you said we did the whole project and didn't get the truck, for example, and we funded the last one with another source, I wonder if we put the whole project out there.
You're talking for the technology?
For the technology, because it's a $300,000 project over 2 years. And I wonder
they didn't
if
fund
we-
it last year.
They didn't fund it last year. We
So-
tried to do 100,000 over 3 years.
It feels like the message, the right message might be, you didn't fund it last year, but now we've got to get the whole thing done, so here's the whole thing.
What's the
Yeah,
status
I
of
mean,
the
I will say the request last year was 100,000 in 24, 25, and 26. So we didn't get the 100,000, so now we're saying we still want the project done by the end of 26, so now we're going 150, 150. So we haven't changed our messaging.
Okay.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
the boards are in, like, are they bad shape? They're varying degrees of bad shape?
Varying degrees. There's been a couple that we've had to replace that we just couldn't wait for.
We also have higher free cash than we have, and so I don't know, that's why, part of me wants to put the request out there at 300 and let them reduce it. Or, I don't know if you can do it as a
Well-
callback, but that's just,
I'm just trying to remember the discussions we had when we went through this.
we're also going for millions in extra.
It came close. It was
No.
close. Pardon? I think it was close, wasn't it?
That's what I'm trying to remember. I don't remember whether it
I
was
think it was
close.
like only a couple below the line.
Yeah.
And now that
But-
you've been on the thing for a year too, you're in, you definitely have more.
Well, I can,
More sway, I hope.
I can speak to Noel's.
yeah, super
questions.
sway.
The interactivity has been not working well
Okay.
for many years. A lot of them have a glorified, a projector with a board, but no interactivity. And so, this would, and again, it's a totally different system, and this would be similar to what we have at the elementaries that they're very happy with.
I will say for a project like this, they'll probably take it at face value. I mean, maybe they'll reduce some other projects, but like, if school committee goes and says it's 150 or it's 300, generally, it's gonna be taken at face value, rather than a plan B of like, could we reduce it?
I did just wonder, because like, if you said to me, like, we get the 150 and a truck versus the whole 300, I'd probably take the 300
Sounds like a game show.
versus, like, if we were doing it. And then, the only other one was the window replacements, because they did some of them, and there's future window replacements at other,
Yeah.
out there or whatever. I'm just asking, like, because you
Yeah.
picked the 5 that ended up on here, and I'm just questioning if there should be any changes to that. I'm generally okay with the order of it, and just wondering if the dollar amount should be the 150 or 300, and why window replacements aren't on there, because I thought that was also a continuation of a project, and.
Yeah, I think we struggled so much with finding the right contractor this summer and finding the right solution that was gonna work for what the schools wanted.
But you got it now, right? Or you're.
What's that?
You have it now?
We have it now, yeah, but we're gonna wait till the spring, but yeah.
But if we did it and then got approved for another one and did another, because is it only at the little school that they have the windows?
There's
Or
some
is it
needs at
also-
the hood too. It's mainly little, but there's some small needs at the hood.
There's also, we're in a period now, and you can't predict what it's gonna be a year from now, but where any of these types of costs are going up at such a fast rate. that there's an argument to be made. There
Yeah.
always is, but
Do it now.
especially in this period now that.
Well, that happened with this site, so we thought we were gonna, what we're able to accomplish with our 50,000 is not what it was.
Yeah.
It's less,
Yep.
to be honest. So that's why the next allotment went up to 75,
And that's-
not
and-
50.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's not till 27 you had it?
Yeah, I'm trying to do maybe I get too conservative, I'm trying to spread out the funding, you know? So if we're gonna really tackle the modulars, I was just saying, that's our only focus that year. Because it's gonna be just a huge
Yeah, but that's
project.
probably gonna be a bonded project, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's probably gonna be a bonded project, and if I recall, don't the modulars come off the bond this year or next year?
oh, I think you're right, I think it might be, it could be this year.
They come off now, and so then we would try
Yeah.
to put something back on. And
I
Right.
assume they would only bond them for 20 years, right? I mean, the expected life or.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I had the 75, if you look at, and I'm looking at this document, but I had the 75 in FY '26, and then I moved it when the mods went up so significantly.
Well, that's what
but-
but again, they're two different, like we said up front, they're two different funding sources, and so the one is gonna be a bond. And
Right,
it's
that's true.
Money freeing up from the bond, of bonded projects, and so that's where I wonder if we don't go up to, if we try to split the 300 into two allotments of 150, then I would propose putting 75 on for windows for a second year in a row and trying to
Okay.
get the whole window project done in 2 or 3 or 4 years, as opposed to, again, like if there's windows that need to be replaced at the elementary school, let's not wait 3 more years for that.
Right, no, I hear you, yep,
Let's just do it like back to back and just,
sure.
Are you
Sure.
saying there are more costs that need to be added on? The estimates
of course I'm saying that, come on now.
say it.
I mean, 741 is, it's a lot. You know, if you look at what
I mean,
we've
the
been,
hood school, we don't know what it is, you could say it's 350.
if you look at what,
School.
we got 355 approved last year, so 50%, 741 is on the table currently.
Yeah, but I mean, 400 is that one project, and so you take that off.
Yeah,
That's why I think we should almost have a little bit higher, because that one project is 400.
mm-hmm,
And so we got 375 approved last year. Without that 400, you're only at 341 you're requesting. So I would probably
Good point.
add on 75 for windows and.
okay. I'm not opposed to that.
Anything else?
I'm putting like an
Any other
asterisk
requests?
next to number 5 in terms of like, I don't like seeing that, like, just
Well-
when it, no, this to have it being like a safety issue, it's like, feels,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, agreed. Assuming we can't get the funding through another way.
yeah,
then I would
well,
bump
that's
it
why
up.
an asterisk sort of being
Yeah.
like, we're thinking about other ways
Yeah.
to fund this.
I will say, we might not make the year with with like the hood and the little, I will say. We might,
With
based
the-
on
It might need to be replaced anyway, so.
yeah,
With the alarm or with?
the alarm, the
Yeah.
alarm.
Yeah.
And again, that's something that we could even in year try to, if we needed to try to get funding, but.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that would be my only suggestion, is maybe add in 75,000 for windows, if people like that more than the 300 for the other one. Do you like that more, or?
I think
just- I mean, 'cause
I think
we
it
don't-
has a greater chance of success, let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
And the windows was a project that was funded last year, and they knew it was gonna be a multiple-year project. So I don't think they're gonna be surprised to see it again.
One last question
Short
with the
memories.
150 for the technology, is that at like, instead of saying, oh, that's based on need, right? Like if we're doing half, it's the half that are at the,
Correct.
the highest need of replacement.
That's the
right?
idea.
Not like based on location in the building or anything like that.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sure of the answer to that.
Okay.
I mean, so sometimes the way we roll them out is like it's economical to do a wing or a section or a department or a building. Yeah.
And I'll come back to where I started. It gives you a sense of like the way we're debating this, of like the other things it's competing against. I mean, it's just,
Yeah, I mean, you're
which is your
competing
favorite child?
You're competing against, library repairers and firehouse repairers and.
Everything in there, you
Parks
look
and
at it
Rec
like,
and-
well, we gotta do that. So,
And playground replacements that
Yeah.
happen.
I mean, the soapbox moment is to say that if we were to do what I suggested about having an operational override, you get some of this stuff in our actual budget. Like, devices should be funded by our budget. They shouldn't be funded through capital. We shouldn't have to get Parks and Rec to vote for, devices for students. Like,
Yeah.
that should be in our budget, and we just can't afford it in the budget right now. And so, that's the hope, is that some of these things drop off and they're in
Right.
the actual
Yes.
budget, and then we're only really asking for window repairs and vehicles and things like that, not the technology that's in the school, which is how we actually teach.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. So I'm hearing,
So,
It's not the first or last time we'll all be talking.
I'm hearing a motion, I'm kind of hearing like, concept around adding $75,000.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'd
make,
be in favor of that. I don't know the other
Yeah,
three thing.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
And where do you put that at 5 and push your 5 down to 6?
hey,
Or put it above? I would put it actually above the hood school roof. I don't know. Because it's such a big number,
Yeah.
and then you have that kind of above the 400 number. You
And
have
then drop-
four
Do that,
things.
you're kind of saying the roof.
It's
Well,
hard.
the problem is because you haven't done the study on the roof, the infrared study on the roof,
I
you
know.
don't really
Yeah,
know
we don't.
where that's gonna
I mean,
fall.
part of the problem, yeah, because the infrared study may say, we're not gonna spend any money on
Correct.
on restoration. 'cause-
Correct. I
'cause
know,
we need to replace the whole
the
thing.
whole thing.
right, correct.
Yeah.
That's what's way
Then
worse.
the other thing is
Right.
you.
So I'm saying, we don't have, we don't really have
I
the
know.
information.
I wish I had
So
that. I'm
for
sorry,
now,
yeah.
we can just,
No,
Or you could put the restoration last, put it at the very bottom one, move that to the bottom and just say we need more information on it. The study's the second priority.
Right.
The restoration is the bottom one, and then you put the other two above them, and
No, I would keep it where it is, because it otherwise just looks like this, it's sort of a game playing type of thing.
of
And
course it's the game plan.
I know, but it becomes too obvious that that's what's happening, even though I'm now saying it out loud and it's.
All they have to do is watch the video, and they can see the game planning, but.
very exciting video.
Don is, watching.
So I'm like the windows maybe 4, and then the roof 5, and then the alarms, which we would hopefully pursue some grants, 6.
Yeah, since that one we're hoping that one actually drops off for other funding sources.
Okay.
That's fine.
Goes 4, 5, 6. Okay, any other discussion?
No, we beat this one to death.
I think we did the same thing last year.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still on the committee, so I do this every year. Okay, do we have a motion to approve the FY '25 CIPC priority order
As
With-
amended.
As amended,
amended.
yeah.
as amended?
Motion to approve the CIPC, priority order as amended, for fiscal year 24, 25?
25.
Yeah.
Second.
Motion, second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous.
Great,
4-0.
thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, 4-0. All night.
We're good, thanks.
Right, it's all right. Okay. Now let's go back to Dr. Daly's evaluation.
Yeah. You want me to share, you just want me to talk about it? You
I
either,
think you,
You
which is gonna be longer. I'm sorry.
We've been
Yeah.
on and off.
Why don't I just talk about it rather
We've
than
got
share?
some technical difficulties, just so everyone's aware.
Okay.
We're back online now.
We've been
I
on.
don't know that anyone's still with us.
Fair enough.
We were off for at least 10 or 15 minutes
Oh.
just due to internet.
Okay.
So we need to replay the entire,
Yes, let's do the whole
Order.
CIPC discussion again.
Yeah, you can check the.
okay, why don't I go through the evaluation? I
Sure.
will really try not to read through all of this. It's shared on the shared drive, we can,
And this is the interim, this is a midway point. right?
Correct.
Yes.
correct. So a few things of note. When you look back at the last year, the accomplishments of the last year, most people look for their careers to have the kind of things that happened for the North Reading school system, that all happened for the North Reading school system, whether it's academics, whether it's athletics, music, performing arts. It was just a crazy good year. And you can look at it two ways. You can say, wow, that's just sort of an aberration, but it's not. When you look at the progression of all of the things I just mentioned, they've all been building towards that. And they keep doing that. So you can't look at it as just an accident that we have accomplished so much. It's tough to put those things into specific categories in the evaluation, but I wanted to call it out because I think it really is, it's something that I think that the credit belongs to the school system, it belongs to Dr. Daly and the staff and administration and everybody involved. Yes, we've got a great bunch of kids and we've got motivated parents, but it's been working towards that for a long time, and I think it shows, and I think it needs to be called out. Moving into some more specifics, the overall evaluation, it breaks down into several categories. There are a number of them where when people read it, they'll say proficient. I don't think that entirely does it justice. I think I wish there were more categories. I wish it were easy to do. But one thing I want to call out is, and where I do want to say it's a little bit higher, and I'm going to jump down to family and community engagement. And that's where I sort of put some of these categories of, you go to any event, community event here, I've never seen so many people as have come out to Pippin, or any of the shows that any of the other schools are doing, or go to see Notorious. You just don't see that. I mean, not that I go to every town's performances, but that is just amazing. And that's not an accident. And part of it is because of the talent that has been really brought in. But you look at the instructors, you look at the band instructors, you look at the coaches, you look at the academic staff of the school and how dedicated they are. You go to events like the Haunted Playground. The community is really involved. And again, that's not an accident. It's how we advertise all of that stuff. It's how you advertise all of that stuff. We're not doing that. It's how we engage with the entire community. And that means everything. It means these are safe environments. So safety is involved. The event the other night that we had to move into the school, there were no major disruptions. How easy would it have been for kids to run around the school and cause a problem? Everybody was invited. No one was restricting, high school students or junior high can't come in. Everybody was welcome. Everybody's in costumes, and yet there are no problems, and it's an evening event. There are no problems on the ground. That is amazing. The fact that we encourage that and it works, again, it's not an accident. So that is actually an area when we talk about family involvement and community involvement, we're actually said that's actually excelling. Because to me, those sorts of things are indicative of what we all aspire to have in a school system. So that is just amazing. And then I'll tack on even more to that and say you then look at the unified sports events. Things that a lot of the town had never heard of, and it's a packed house. We have a regional event that was packed, and everybody had a great time. And we'll do it again and want to see more of that. We host the marching band competition, regional competition. We have just on and on of what's gone on in the last year. You can't help but say, yes, if you look at some of these categories, proficient is there, but with the whole community involved, that has to be an excelling, and that's above what we've had in previous years, and it's really to the credit of Dr. Daly, of the staff he has, and the dedication that everybody has toward the community. So thank you. Other things. Something I mentioned before, this is an interim assessment, but still, staff retention has been great. We had some retirements, but again, when you look at the communities around North Reading, there, and even across, the state and even the country, there's a major shortage of staff for schools, of teachers, administrators. There are a lot of school systems that can't fill positions. We have done a great job of retaining and then filling when we need to. That again speaks to, supply demand. If you create a good school system, if you create a good environment, people want to work here, they want to stay here, and I think that really speaks to it. And I think we said it last year, and I think it's true this year. The other thing I want to call out, and I'm going to call out just a couple more things, and I promise you won't have to keep hearing my Muppet voice anymore, is our attention to our attention to metrics. As you know, I think a lot of us who look at statistics, look at numbers outside of here in our lives outside of school committee, and our appreciation for making decisions with the appropriate analytics involved. What this town does and what we just witnessed with the budget is just a phenomenal example of how any organization should run. And I know I've mentioned in the past, and I'll say it again, our community, North Reading, is used as the financial model for other schools. No joke. I'll say it again. It's when school committees are taught how to, and their classes and courses on this, how to look at financial models and budgetary models, they use our town. And that's the staff. That's a credit to us. But all decisions. So the presentations we've been seeing about performances of each school get broken down into really granular statistics, and then decisions are made based on those statistics. Fantastic. Again, that's really an area where we excel, and again, not by accident. And there was one more thing I was going to mention, but now I'm not sure I remember. The only other thing I was gonna say, based on all of this, is, we look at the work that goes into, we look at the results that come out of our school systems, and then we come back to academics. And one of the things that we've seen in MCAS scores, again, it's across the state, it's across the country, is that scores across the board have been hit from the result of COVID. We've all seen it. When you actually do the statistical comparison of our school and how we're doing in comparison to others, we're more than keeping our head above water. So, yes, everybody has dipped. And if you just did the comparison and say, oh, well, we've gone down a little bit, it doesn't do justice to the work that this school has done and that this school system has done in keeping our kids above the national averages of how the COVID years impacted learning. Again, it's really to the credit of Dr. Daly, of his entire team, from everybody involved, not just administration, but the great teachers that are here too. So I've said a lot of glowing things. I really, this will get published for anybody who wants to read it, but just, it's not an easy position, and it's certainly not an easy position to have that many things go right, and it's really a credit to you, Dr. Daly. It's really a credit to the team you have. So thank you.
I'll just jump in.
Yeah.
A question for you, Jeff, and then a couple comments.
Yeah.
Quick. The only question is, I think the form that we used was like the end of cycle evaluation report. We should probably be careful, and like, because if it's a 2-year and it's in mid-cycle, because all the ones were saying like you've met everything, and so.
Well, this one,
Unless I'm looking at the wrong one. But like,
you might be looking at the wrong
Might
one.
be.
I specifically have it stating for year 22-23.
Okay.
I'll send you a link to it.
Just so, because what I'm looking at is the end of cycle.
Oh, yeah, the top of it does say end of
Because-
cycle, yeah.
Well, just because, like, if
Yeah.
it's a 2-year, we gotta make sure he hasn't really
Yeah.
met all of them quite yet, because you still have a year to go to meet your
Correct.
meet your goals.
Yep.
Because I think we were using the end of one, and so it
Yeah, I
should
get your
say
point.
on target as opposed to like met necessarily.
unless one is literally.
Correct.
Yeah.
But like, all of them are met, so it's like,
Currently being met.
yeah,
Is-
something like
is-
that.
yeah,
But
that's
we
fair.
should- Yeah, just on the form, but
No, very fair.
I can share that. There's one that's the mid-cycle.
there's a mid-cycle one that we should probably do. Again, my overall thoughts, I think, Dr. Dell, you're an excellent superintendent. We're very fortunate to have you here. Like Jeff said, I mean, leadership starts from the top down. A lot of accomplishments happen because of the way that you handle things and set things up. School improvement plans have been improved quite a bit since you've been here. I think that was one of your main goals here. I think that the communication to the community has been great throughout. I would not want your job, and I'm glad that you're here, and we don't have to hire a replacement anytime soon, so, thank you. So, that's my summary.
Yeah, and I'll just add one note on communication with the community. I sort of see like myself as a liaison between, you know, the people that elected us to sit up here and administration. And I have, one of the most consistently positive comments has been on the communication. You're like upfront, frank, frequent, productive communication with different community members. So, and that's got to be one of the least desirable tasks sometimes. But I think it's been great, and it's been noticed and noted to me by multiple people in the community. So, just wanted to mention that.
I mean, it's a broad one, but it's also individual ones too, because I probably see, I think we all receive some of the emails from the community members, but I probably receive more of the direct ones, and you do a great job handling complaints from.
You need to engage more.
So,
You'll get more of them.
Okay, so, do we have to approve this officially or not? Since it's
Since it's
mid-year, do we
mid, I
not,
don't know that-
do we not vote to approve it or not?
I think you're presenting it.
I think we're just presenting it, that's all, okay. Well,
If I could
good
just.
job. Of course.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
I appreciate all the comments. It's a wonderful place to work. All the, almost 500 people or so that are involved in doing all the things that you described. Every goal that's on here is a team goal. And, you know, it starts right here with my right hand, who I couldn't do any better than my assistant superintendent, Michael, with his presentations. And you're absolutely right that he's the model for financial communication. And I echo all those communication things coming from there. It's really the exemplar for the state. Sean as well, as an assistant, my whole leadership team, Cynthia, Dan, all the principals. Our goals have been about alignment. They've been about directing. My job here is really, I've come to understand is, we are very good. I used to say good to great. I'd say we're very good now, but it's not resting on those laurels. It's continuing to move forward, trying to push and trying to steer in the right direction, keep the boat moving forward, and getting everyone on together. So everything from, you're right, from bringing the haunted playground indoors to, you know, what direction we're gonna go with XYZ is what I'm hoping to steer. So I appreciate the feedback, and it really, I wanna thank everyone in our school community for making this such a great place to work.
For the record, I wrote in here that your response would be that you credit the team.
okay.
That's true.
Let's move on to school committee goals. Ms. Boutwell isn't here. We're gonna assign her stuff tonight, because we have to get through these, so.
I'm not sure that makes a lot of sense, but.
I think some of them were sort of assigned before, but, okay, we can, so, just very quickly, I think we have them, I'm not gonna read them all again. I think we made a couple of changes last time. Any comments, any questions on them? And if not, I think we should start maybe at least doing what we think assignments should be, so we can
That's fine,
start
yeah.
working on them.
We can nail it down.
Did anybody have any comments or questions on what we have here? Hearing none, let's kind of start going through, and remember, we can't have more than 2 people on them. I think a lot of people have interest in certain areas, but we can have up to 2 on a goal. But these are our overall goals, and so we will still bring them to the general committee to talk about things. The idea of these is to maybe have 1 or 2 people that are leading the discussions to bring it to the general committee. So under leadership and governance, the 2 things that we had were the professional development, and then looking at the school safety. I know Diana did care a lot about the school safety, and so I think she would probably want to stay on that goal. the whatchamacallit, the professional development. We have failed to do that for a year or two now, and so I think we really should do something. I mean, I'm happy to volunteer if people don't want to do it, or if people want to.
Yeah, I mean, Noel, I don't know how you feel about it, but,
We did so well last year.
well, I feel like we need to redeem ourselves on this one.
I totally agree, so let's
Okay.
keep
So
it.
let's keep it and
You're keeping it.
Good for you.
get it done. And I, I think we need to talk about timing, because with the election in May, we gotta figure out what
Yeah.
makes the most sense,
Yeah.
but that's fine.
Yeah, so
You
we'll,
have an
we'll,
election in May.
we'll work on this.
You have an election in May.
I mean, our original discussion on this was really just to try to, I think if you reach out to MSB, or whatever, the association,
Yep.
school committees, and say, hey, we want to do a presentation on something related to what we're doing.
Yep, 100%.
Give us something, and
They'll
let's
either,
set
they'll
up.
either say one of them can do it, or they'll,
They'll guide
they'll
us
find
where we
us,
need
yeah.
to. Okay, so we'll keep Rich and Noel on that one. The second one had school safety at Diana and Jeff. Do you want to stay on that one as well, or?
Honestly, I
think that was
didn't,
partly because it was policies, and so I think they wanted something from the policy side.
if that, in that case, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because it was a review of the school committee policies and structures in
Yeah, that's
place
fine.
related to school safety. So depending on the conversations with the town,
That's fine.
there might be,
There are a couple things on there that I'm interested in. as
Okay.
well, So, it's fine.
yeah. I think a lot of us are gonna be interested in financial asset stuff, so. Okay, financial and asset management, we have it broken up into 5 different ones. Working on reducing kindergarten and and maybe expanding pre-K. Solar power. We have trying to support the ESSER positions. Looking at the, overall fee structure, I guess, is the 4th one. And then the 5th one is looking at the busing, because that became a big thing, and the bus contract is up this year. I know we keep saying we have 2 option years, but the actual contract is up. I'm interested in any and all, except for solar, but,
I'll do solar again. I'm still interested in it, and I'll do one other, just,
and I'm interested in whatever, and so, I don't know. Thoughts on Noel? And again, Noel, you had other ones, and this is not your area you wanna do, that's perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
I feel like I'm a lot, mentioned a lot down below, but I mean.
That's
if-
perfectly
if-
fine, I mean.
Okay, if you need me somewhere,
No, I mean, a lot of these are interrelated anyways,
Yeah. I
mean-
so,
I mean-
Rich and I are on finance planning, so we're
Yeah,
intimately
so the
involved in a lot of
fees
these, so.
and the budget around positions, I mean, that's all related to how are we gonna get through the next budget season.
yeah.
So they are all kind of interrelated, so yeah, I'm happy. to
Correct, so I
stay.
mean, like the kindergarten and, like, again, we had a couple of meetings last
Yeah.
year, where we talked about it, Jeff and I did.
yeah, I'm fine doing that again.
We could keep that the same if we wanted to. The ESSER positions, Rich and Diana, you were on it before, if you wanted to keep
That's-
that one.
Yeah, that's fine.
The-
It'll be an easy one for Diana.
The fee structure, Rich and I had some heated conversations. Now, we were both animated going back and forth, which is good,
Yeah.
and so,
We ended up in the right place, and, but there's opportunities to look at it again, so.
okay. I mean, again, if people wanna replace me on it, you can, or
It sounds like you guys had a great time.
we had
Yeah.
a good discussion, and then the bus one is the big one then, that we don't have anybody assigned to, and again, I think where that needs to go is, are we gonna just exercise the option? And are there any alternatives, because the bus fee keeps going up, and it's gonna be a dramatic increase next year with the options, and so,
You up for starting our own bus company?
I'm curious about how much
Amazon.
solar, like, what initiatives are out there for, like,
Delivery.
for them, but,
We could
But I-
talk to Worcester, we could talk to Worcester, they brought their whole bus program in-house.
yeah, they're probably a little bit bigger, but the other thing is, like, I mean, the buses are super, super crowded as it is right now, and we're just barely getting by, I think, with the number of buses we have, and so, I think we do have to, I mean, this is one where Diana had an interest, I know, she wanted this put on here, so,
Ask her if she's interested.
I wouldn't mind,
Diana, are you interested?
Yeah,
I wouldn't
she
mind,
is.
I wouldn't mind assigning her
Diana, do you
here.
mind if we put her, no, you don't? Okay, good.
Yeah, and again, and I don't mind
No,
doing it too, if,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
do you
fine.
want me and Diana, or do you want to,
You guys go for it.
You go for it.
we can do it?
Diana's jumping out of her chair.
We could do that, and, yeah, this was I think Diana I were the ones mainly in the bus discussion last year, and so.
Yep,
Okay.
that's fine.
So we probably did that one, and educational programs, the working group for DEI, for diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Rich and
Yep.
Jeff, you guys
Yep.
were on that, and I
That's
think
fine,
you guys
that's
did a
fine.
good job
Yeah.
last year. On that, the district, the UDL and the MTSS, you and Diana were on that?
Yep, I'd
Kinda
like to
stay
stay
there.
on it.
Okay, and then you wanted to add in outdoor?
Yes, I did.
Outdoor, I don't know if anyone wants to join you in that part, but, I don't know.
Can I make one
Yes,
suggestion?
go ahead.
We had also spoken here about the mental health with the social media.
Yes.
What if I just sort of add them both and then sort of have outdoor time and social media as examples of things we discussed? Does that make sense?
Sure, sure. So we'll support the district in exploring both of those.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe for improving mental health, including social media, outdoor time as like examples of what we discussed.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sort of, but I don't, I mean, yes and no, because I think that the outdoor time is beyond just mental health. That's my only hesitation on that. Especially like, but,
You don't want to lose the focus on that part of it.
yeah, I wanted to make it more of, I mean, we could add another one? I don't know what you
Yep,
think.
that's another way to do it.
Yeah, I think they're both distinctly important in their own
And
ways.
what specifically on social media, what were we talking about?
Well, it was, I guess it was not at the last meeting, it was the meeting before.
Yeah, it's the Surgeon General's advisor on social media and youth mental health, and so we've got a grant to sort of study this, and we're gonna have a school committee rep on there, so I just thought
Yeah.
it would make sense.
Do you wanna put that under family and community, cause is it beyond just the schools? We have a rep on there, who else is it with?
It's really the schools.
Only
at this
schools?
stage, yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a goal, I just thought.
No, I absolutely would like to see it as a goal, and I mean, I also think, someday there probably would be an interest in community members being
Mhm.
part of that.
Okay, so on the outdoor one, the 3-3, Roman numeral 3, subsection number 3 right now, so that's Noel, and you wanna add Diana to that too? I think she's had thoughts on that as well. Do you wanna partner on that with you, Noel?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Why don't we add Diana there as well, just because I know she had expressed some interest in that. If you want to add a fourth goal there then, if you want to do that, anybody have interest in joining on that one? Who would be that, it'd be a school committee rep with who, Patrick? Dr. Daly?
So I think
Like-
Noel had mentioned she was interested in.
Oh, no, I
it.
definitely
When
am.
I think I spoke about it in my update for something.
Yeah,
So it's teams of teachers reviewing our current cell phone policies, practices in the schools, as well as sort of unpacking. So it's health teachers, digital learning teachers, we're gonna open it up to others.
I would very much like to be part of that.
do you want to do that? And I could join you if you wanted to, just have a second one.
Yeah,
Do that.
why don't you?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I mean, and you guys are both taking on a lot with negotiation as well.
Yeah,
And so I think that's, I'm fine too, so we'll add the fourth one. Mental health, and then that's Noel and me. And then family community relations, the CPAC, I will keep that since that's my liaison role anyways, and the universal, working with, Family University. Oh, wait, what's it being called now? It's not being called Family University, is it?
It's being called family.
Oh, it is, not parent,
Not
it's changed from parent university. Family University, and Noel is listed on there. Rich, would you have an interest in that one too? I think you would.
Yeah, because I just feel like,
presented with Dr. Daly before.
right, and I just
so.
feel like, yeah, there should be an opportunity for at least some of those efforts for us to participate, so you put my name on there.
Did you catch all those, Dr. Daly? The assignments that we did, kind of like who's leading them?
Yeah, he's doing it live.
Yeah, are there any
Oh,
others?
I'm not looking at it.
Were there any changes?
So just add my name to the last one, Noel and me on the Family University,
Okay.
and I think that's good. You got Noel and Scott, you got the new goal with Noel and Scott on there, the student mental health goal.
Yep.
Yep.
So then if that's okay, do you wanna vote to approve it?
Yeah.
Dan's not here, but I think it's fine. I mean,
We can
we're in
adjust,
October, so
anything,
it's okay.
anything we can always
Yes.
adjust. The goal, the names part isn't really
Correct.
isn't the voting part.
Correct.
It's just our,
Good. Okay, so. I'll entertain
so
a motion.
I would move that the committee vote to approve, somewhat belatedly, but we got there, the goals for the 23-24 school year as amended and adjusted here.
Second?
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, okay. I had everything other than routine matters, I believe, correct? Noel.
Well then.
Okay, routine matters, minutes, none at this time. Budget update. Mr. Connolly,
Yes.
budget update,
Thank
budget
you.
goals.
So this evening, we have the budget update, which summarizes financial activity through really the first quarter of the fiscal year, the end of September. Happy to report that everything is in good financial standing. The schools continue to kind of encumber and order instructional materials, technology, and equipment to start the school year, but everything has been kind of ordered that it was certainly needed for the first quarter of the year. As we've continued to do and has been as our practice, we did prepay tuitions with year-end funds in fiscal year 2023. So there is certainly a balance reflected in the tuition line, and that certainly is going to provide some flexibility, as it typically has done as we move through the year.
Do we have a document?
Oh,
I'll link
yeah, sorry.
I didn't notice that one, I noticed the capital.
Oh,
market stuff.
okay.
I didn't,
Yeah, sorry, I'm putting it in the folder, but I must not be linking it.
Oh,
I'll just start,
I'll send
I'll
the
just
link
start
to the
doing
entire
that.
folder.
Yeah, I guess that was the thing that was missing, was
yeah.
the big folder.
Um,
Anyway, carry on. I can picture the.
Yeah, I'll definitely remember to link my documents the next time. So, everything is certainly, on the payroll side, kind of trending into how we projected. And as I mentioned earlier, necessary start of the school year, supplies have been ordered and processed. Food service program performed really strong in the opening month of the school year. Again, we can see participation over 70%. Our la carte sales in particular was significantly up from last year. So that was certainly a positive trend to see in the first opening month. And really, at this point, I think we're in good financial standing. We've seen some unforeseen costs come up in the areas of maintenance with certain areas that need to be addressed with just repairs to certain equipment and vehicles, but we've been able to manage that, and I think we're in good financial standing through the first quarter of the year. That being said, I'll open it up to any questions.
I just have two quick questions. One, on the people side, I know you had a retirement. I know that we have a maternity leave. I'm just wondering, how are you doing in terms of your staff?
In the business office side
Yeah,
of things?
yeah.
So we're managing. I would say it's been a busy opening. I'd be remiss if I didn't say it's been busy, and it's been a lot to kind of fill the void with the leave of absence that we've had. But I think things are going along well. I would say maybe, to be honest, maybe our response time on some of the busing questions and late passes from mid-September to the beginning of October wasn't what we're used to, but we managed, and we got through that, and we made the changes that needed to be made with the routes, and things seem to be moving along smoothly. With the
The retirement at the end of last year too, the gentleman that was here, remember?
So we had a retirement in the payroll
Yeah.
department, so that's transition's been going, pretty well, and we're managing that as well. Certainly, that gentleman that retired had so much institutional knowledge for 30+, but basically 30 years, so that anytime that happens, you're gonna go through some, a transition, and that was certainly a big loss to the district, but we're certainly working through those things as well.
Yeah. And then with food service, we were talking about, like, since we have been able to generate some revenue from that, I mean, are there thoughts on what we could maybe do with that this year, or any more? The answer we don't know yet, but, just curious what we can do. And I think we were buying more à la carte, or another cart or something.
Yep, so I think there's certainly equipment investments we can put back into the program. We do have a new food service director, as
Yeah.
we've mentioned, so I think I've kind of asked her to kind of look at that. I didn't get a lot of requests, I think, in terms of equipment refreshing, and I'm hoping to get some, maybe with someone coming in, looking at fresh ideas and a fresh perspective of what some of the additional needs could be. So I think we're starting to see that, and she's bringing, the director, Kate Filto, is bringing those forward. So I think we'll be able to invest back into the program. We've already upgraded some equipment and done some maintenance, and replaced the steamer at the high school and done certain things like that. And I think that we'll see more of that. I'm hoping that they could, when we go through the small capital process with the administration, which is already starting, that we'll see some of those requests come forward as well. And then I think as we approach the budget process, and as we continue to look at the account and see how it continues to perform well and revenue continues to be certainly high, we could look at other, and I know you mentioned it previously last spring, other sort of indirect cost type models, which we have not done with food service. Do we want to look at any type of utility custodial offsets? And those options are there. We haven't done that, but that's certainly something we can look at.
Okay. Thank you. Any other question?
What is the status or the state of people's use of the free and reduced lunch forms for other purposes, since they're not needing it for free and reduced lunch?
So we continue to see a similar percentage of families complete the free and reduced lunch applications. We've tried to, even though it's universally free, that obviously there's additional purposes and benefits to filling out those forms. So we've never had a high population of families completing paper applications. Most of our families that are officially certified as free and reduced lunch are done through direct certifications with the state. I would say we're about 15% of those are paper applications, and we continue to, that percentage has been the same, even with the movement of the last few years of universal free lunch.
Great.
So we haven't seen a drop off in that at all.
We've had a few questions, and Michael's been fielding a lot more questions like that, like, should I still do this even though it's, so,
Yep.
but,
Yeah, I tried to get that message out to the extent that anybody pays attention to me on Facebook. At the
You did a
beginning
good
of the
job.
year, but,
You got 3 likes on it.
yeah, exactly. That was one of them.
So,
Yeah, the naming of it is just unfortunate, right?
right,
It's just,
right.
it's called that. but-
Yep.
But yeah, that's been,
Copy the form and slap our own name on it, like, reduced
Yeah.
bus fee application. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Connolly. And then
Yep.
budget goals? What are you gonna-
right, so similar to what you just discussed, I think this was an open item, and this, that we had not, we kind of deferred at the last time I was here
Yep.
discussing it, so I,
has everyone seen the docs too?
yeah,
can see it
this
now.
is in the
I can see it
document as
now, yeah.
well.
Yep, thank you.
So I believe these 7 budget goals are in line with the fiscal asset management goals that were recently adopted, in terms of certainly having a fiscal year 2025 budget support NRPS 2025 strategic initiatives. You just talked about many of your subcommittees, to continue to explore energy costs and solar power, the need to look at and explore universal free day kindergarten, and we'll even look at pre-K. Continue to look at the fees. I know you just referenced that. Even with the adoption of the universal cap, that we continue to kind of review that model. Certainly look at the ESSER funding and to preserve those positions that have been part of the ESSER funding. The bus contract, as we just discussed, and the need to review all options as we look at the optional years and other initiatives that are kind of going on with electric school bus and so forth. And then collaboration with the finance planning team.
Looks good to me. Any questions on this?
No, I'm good.
Motion to approve the fiscal year 2025 budget goals.
Move to approve the fiscal year 2025 budget goals.
I'll second.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connolly.
Thank you, Mr. Connolly.
Nothing on staffing? Bids and donations?
Yes, indeed, we've got a few here, so I move that the school committee vote to accept with gratitude a donation of $1,000 from the Batchelder School PTO towards the grade 4 trip to Lowell Mills.
Diane's not here a second. so you
Second.
can- A motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0.
I move to accept with gratitude, that the committee vote to accept with gratitude a donation of $250 from the North Reading Gas and Services in support of kids at Transitional Academy is the note.
That's nice. Oh,
I need a second.
second, sorry, I'm just commenting, that's nice. Well, I get my gas there, that's nice.
We have a motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0.
That's very nice. I move that the committee vote to accept with gratitude a donation of $400 from Anderson Ferreira to the high school band.
Second?
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0.
And I move that the committee vote to accept with gratitude a donation of $360 from the Little School PTO for the bus for the kindergarten field trip to Smolak Farms. Ooh, I wish I'd been on that trip.
Second?
We have a motion. We have a second.
Now I want apple pie.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0, and Noel wants apple pie.
I mean, I want anything at this point.
I'm sorry, there is one more. Yep, one more. I move that the school committee vote to accept with gratitude a donation of $4,000 from the class of 2023, with $500 each to the Batchelder, Hood, Little, and Middle Schools, and $2,000 to the high school.
Second?
We have a motion, a second. Only one question on this one. Does this complete the amount that they have, Mr. Connolly?
So, not quite.
Okay.
That is about 50% of what they had remaining. So we will be closing out their account. They'll receive, I think it's about $4,000 to set up their kind of alumni account, and then we'll.
They did a great job with fundraising over the 4 years, obviously.
That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, we had a motion. We had a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0.
That is,
I remember when they were in ascending order, Michael. I was kidding.
Yeah.
Teasing. Okay, grants, none at this time. And subcommittee updates, finance planning team. I bailed on that one, so I'm gonna turn it to.
so at Finance Planning Team, most of the meeting was taken up on a discussion of the free cash that the town had at the end of the 2023 fiscal year that ended on June 30th. It was, there's been a lot of discussion about cash and the town's revenue and why is the free cash number so high, and what is free cash? And we all have come to learn here that free cash is not free, and it's not cash, but
So
rather.
that's not a deceptive name at all.
No, not at all, it's perfect. But, there were some interesting reasons why such a high number came about last year. I say interesting, some unique situations. A large chunk of it was from,
Litigation settlement.
well, the unexpected receipts from litigation certainly were part of it. On the expense side, there was a high number of expense turnbacks from the municipal side, totaling like almost $2.7 million or something in that neighborhood, just from,
Mostly DPW.
well, and things like training for the firefighters, which was delayed, and their hiring was a little different off cycle, so. That's certainly a very high number, and unusual, and then there are some items on the revenue things we've talked about a lot, like the expense, or the investment income, which was so much higher than we budgeted for, and some other ones that are just hard to project. I mean, projecting revenue over the last 5 years or 4 years since COVID started has been a challenge. And happily, we've been conservative in our projections, much better than being, being off in the other direction. But it did end up this year with a high amount of free cash, which of course we know is not money that's sitting around waiting for anybody to spend for any reason. Much of it was accounted for in some of the work either has been or will be in things like capital improvement and contributions to stabilization funds, et cetera. So those are all important things. So that was a big part of the meeting. We also talked, I think, a little bit about the sewer project, and I think that was basically it, right?
Sorry, I missed it. And so the next one is, it's Thursday, November 9th, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, just so I have it on my own calendar. Athletics Subcommittee, was that?
Veterans Day observed on the Friday.
Oh, okay.
Right,
okay. Athletics Subcommittee meets November 7th at noon. Fine Arts Subcommittee meets November 7th at 3:15. Dr. Daly, administrative report.
Just a few items, and I know that our student rep spoke to a few of these. We had the MICA competition here, we hosted. The band competition was great. I was able to be here for part of that and present some awards. Our students, our high school band was rated 4 stars, which is excellent. It's a great competition. It's wonderful to host and bring people to our wonderful facilities, including our fields. So we had representatives from several schools, Reading, Londonderry, New Hampshire, Dracut, and we had the UMass Lowell band perform as well. So it was a great experience.
So is it out, how many stars is that out of?
I think 5.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think, because they had said to me, like, maybe we'll get, I think 4 might be the highest that they've received in a while. I don't want to misspeak, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of excited people about receiving the 4 stars.
We seem to host a lot of things now. Is it because of our fields and our,
I think our facilities, yeah, I think it's great. It's great to host. It's great for our kids to
right?
be on the home field as well. So it's good
And I
opportunities.
think it's also due to the enthusiasm of the staff who want to be
Absolutely.
a part of that, right? As opposed to just saying, oh, let somebody else host it so I can
Yep.
be more, it's great.
It's
Not
the
to
first
broaden-
time it has, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, not to broaden it out too much, but it's great for our town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great advertising for the town generally.
It is. It's the first time it hasn't been on a long weekend. I was able to attend. It was great.
I can hear it from my house, which is nice.
Yeah. The Haunted Playground, as was mentioned, we moved this inside. It was just a great event. I think I saw some of you there, those of us with young kids. I came by with my 3. We were here for, I think, 4 hours doing a scavenger hunt. It was, all the students, the planning that goes into that event is just incredible. And it's all student run, as you know. The kids come here, pitch it to us, present to us, but just from every student walking around as an actor to the games, the activities, it really was seamless. And moving it in with our next item, there was a community health fair this weekend. Somebody decided that they were still going to play soccer this weekend, so I was not able to be here in the pouring rain. But I was able to communicate with Mr. Bracy, and he shared some photos, said it was really successful event. He was very excited. But we had both the health fair coming down and the Haunted Playground set up, and everybody worked very well together to make both events successful and smooth. And this is really a great thing that we were able to connect with. I just love the idea of a community health fair, and I think it ties into a lot of our health-related goals as well. There are representatives from all around town, schools at this event, so we're excited to host this as well this weekend.
Mr. McGowan?
I have something I was going to mention during subcommittees and I forgot, if I may. Do that. As you guys know, or may remember, I'm a member of the town's Facilities Master Plan Committee. I don't know if it's officially a school committee representative, or anyway, certainly that's a role I play. But as part of that, the select board voted last week to establish, one of the projects we've been working on is the fire station renovation. And the select board voted last week to make the members of the Facilities Master Plan Committee and a few others be in a building committee. I don't want to say officially if it's a building committee or a building steering committee or some distinction. But anyway, I'll be serving on that committee as well. Town will be coming into, the town, the select board approved money from the ARPA funds for the final design phase for the fire station project. And by spring, by the June town meeting, they'll be ready to present and ask for money for the project itself, so just so everybody knows.
Nice.
We got a lot of projects that need to get done in the town, and that's the next one down the pike.
I appreciate you taking on so many roles, and you are helping negotiate the paraprofessional contract and serving on those committees as well, so thank you for doing that. Correspondence, none at this time?
None for the school committee. I just wanted to take just a moment to address, we've had a few students reach out in support and with questions about the Jewish students and families. We've had other students reach out about concern around Muslim students and families. I think there's just an ongoing concern in the community that we're aware of. They've also reached out to the town. So Michael Gilberto and I, town administrator, reached out to Ms. Coughlin and Ms. Elkins from the Hornets Against Hate and the North Reading Human Rights Group to talk about what some next steps would be as far as if there's some interest in some sort of community discussion or talks. It's such a challenging subject to discuss everything that's happening overseas, but I think there's a lot of thoughts going on in the community. So I just wanted to share with the community that we are, as a community, talking about this. I know that it may, Sean is going to lead, Sean Colleen is going to lead a DIB group, and it may come up there a little bit as well. So I just wanted to say that we are aware and we are discussing. There's certainly no easy information. I have shared out some resources for talking with children and families about these very challenging topics, but
That was great.
I just want to share.
Yep. That was a good resource.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate reaching out on that. And it's always difficult knowing what to say. You know, we're trying to follow that educational pathway. I think, obviously, we're against terror and we're for peace. And I think education is a great thing that we all can do to be better informed about what's going on and to help work towards those resolutions. So that's our vision there. So.
Very much. Anything else? Jeff, you forget anything?
Probably.
Future business, Monday, November 13th, 6:30 PM. We'll be meeting again, and MCAS got pushed back to that meeting
Are we meeting on the 1st?
of November.
Isn't that 2 weeks from now?
I don't think we are.
I don't believe so. No.
I don't think we are meeting.
No, it would not, normally not be, usually second or
November
fourth.
6th would have been the 2 weeks from
Okay,
now,
fair
and,
enough.
it's the 2nd and the 4th, I think. 'cause
Okay.
I think there were 3 Mondays. So, November 13th, November 27th at 6:45, is it, or 6:30? It says 6:45.
The weekend after Thanksgiving?
I'm sorry, this should
Yes,
say
it is.
6:30.
And then December 11th at 6:30 as well.
Okay.
But that's a Tuesday, December 11th.
Great.
Okay.
Is there a holiday or
December
what
11th,
is?
I show it's a Monday.
Why are we December 11th?
Why are we December 11th?
We are December 11th for a reason. I
December 11th is.
Oh, it is a Monday.
Yeah.
It's
Is
a
a
Monday,
Monday
it's not a
holiday?
Tuesday. No, it's a Monday.
Oh, I'm like, what?
December 11th is Monday.
Okay,
so-
all right.
Okay, there we go. It's in my calendar. Okay,
It does say Tuesday on the,
I know, I'm just reading.
My fault.
I'm the Ron
Sorry.
Burgundy of school
Now we're
committee,
debating
so
the calendar.
I just read what's in front of me, so.
Sorry about that.
Nothing else.
Visual
I'll
just
entertain a
made my
motion
day.
to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
Motion, and one of them seconded it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks for playing.